Hi everybody, this is Laura Lee Waldorf and I'm here in Tucson, Arizona with Bonnie Pruden, Myotherapist, because every 2 years we're required to be recertified, and it gives us the opportunity to be able to come together as myotherapists, the muscle heads that we are, and we learn some new things and new ideas around how natural healing or proactive self-care is becoming more popular. I have Betsy Timmerman here, and she is a Bonnie Pruden myotherapist. And Betsy, how did you discover myotherapy?
It was 1988, and my mother was in poor shape. She had had an accident and wasn't able to actually walk more than to her bedroom and back to the living room for about 8 months. And I happened to be eating lunch and watching Tom Bergeron. And this is before Dancing with the Stars fame. He was a local on the Boston television station. And Bonnie was actually, throwing people down on the table and fixing them right in front of my eyes. And I thought nothing had worked. The doctors had nothing else to offer her. And I took her to see Bryce Leonard, who was in Townsend, Massachusetts at the time. And he fixed her in about 3 sessions.
Wow.
We went for 10, and she was ice skating at her age, which was close to 70, after having the 10th session. So I was pretty sold. I talked to Bryce every time he worked on my mother, and he had an extern there, Terry Huff, and I talked to him, and it really made me feel like I wanted to do that for a living. So that's the beginning of it anyway.
So what does myotherapy look like? What did Bryce do?
He was using his elbow mostly on my mother, starting with her rear end and working up her back, but I thought that was odd because it was her legs that were bothering her, but he worked his way down to her feet, and she did her stretches. She was very good at that, and she made progress very quickly. So I was amazed because she had gone 8 months without any help at all. The doctors didn't know what to do, and they said she had spasm, but they didn't really help her.
It's amazing how the muscles are sort of skipped.
Yes.
Like they don't. It's amazing to me. So you work with trigger points and passive stretches.
Yes.
So it's an active therapy, meaning that it's between you and the person that you're working on?
Yes.
Because like you just mentioned, your mother did exercises, so she had to do that at home for homework?
Yes, we had they called them corrective exercises or corrective movements, and that's what she was prescribed, and she did them 4 times a day for the first 2 weeks, and then after that, as she improved, she reduced the amount of time she did that a day, but she still does them twice a day 26 years later.
It's like a habit, a good habit.
Yeah.
So a trigger point, what tools do you use?
To get rid of them?
Yeah, do you have to carry equipment around or?
Well, my equipment are my elbows, my thumbs, and my knuckles pretty much. If you want to do self-work, then you use myotherapy tools, which would be bodos, which are little wooden instruments that you can hold in your hands, or crooks, shepherd crooks, which you can use to do any part of your body.
So you can reach your back, because otherwise you couldn't, there's no way. That's interesting. So do you use oils or anything like that? Or?
No, I don't.
So you just clothes on too?
Clothes on and hands.
So you have your tools on you, and your information's in your brain.
That's right.
And you also share that with people that you work on.
Yeah, it's like being a detective in a way. I mean, the first time you work on someone, you do their whole body just to see what's going on, and then you get more specific, and you get a good history, because if you don't get a good history, you're not going to be able to help them that well. But it's amazing what can, they can have a problem in their shoulder, but they really might have the problem in their hip that you have to fix before the shoulder releases.
So you have to figure that all out.
It's fascinating, and every person's totally different. So no 2 people are the same, and it's never boring.
That's right. It's never the same strokes or anything like that, which is really cool. So as a myotherapist, and how long have you been in myotherapy?
26 years.
So what's your experience around myotherapy? Have you been successful?
Yeah, good. Very positive. I think in 26 years, maybe 3 people that came with migraines, I didn't help, but that's because they didn't do their exercises. And it works for everything. I've had a few people that have nerve damage from a fall from a ladder from 40 feet, and lucky he was alive.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help him, but it's rare that you can't help somebody.
But they need to want and be willing to do their part.
I find the younger they are, the less exercise they really have to do. They have more regenerative powers, but you really have to do your exercises. Especially if you're doing a job that's putting trigger points into your body every day.
And trigger points, how do they get in your body?
They're chemical and electrical loci that are in your muscles, and they're placed through injury to your muscle. So
when we injure our muscles, if we're living life.
Yeah, and once you get them, they can be dormant or active, and if they're active, then you get contraction, and it pulls all the muscles surrounding it right to the joint. So you can feel joint pain when it's really the muscle that's really contracted. So our job is to get rid of the trigger points so people don't have that contraction anymore and the spasm goes away.
So it seems like muscles have a lot to do with pain.
Yeah, very much
So it's a good starting point because it's non-invasive.
Right.
And so you don't have to get aggressive before you do myotherapy, and then if that doesn't, then you go to the next step.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good starting point if you have pain.
Right.
Does that include headaches or?
It includes every body ache there is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you've probably seen them all too, huh?
I have. I've seen some very interesting cases that I never thought I could fix, and I did. And the problem where it wasn't the reason that they had the pain. It was far from the area that they were complaining about. And once you release the muscles far away, satellite points, then they get better.
So they may be hurting in their shoulder,
Mm-hmm.
but it's actually coming from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fascinating. Who would think? They just keep on working on that shoulder,
Right.
not
yeah.
even thinking that it could be coming from somewhere else.
I mean, if you have a shoulder problem, it can, the opposing fascia is down here, so if you pull up on a sweater, it's going to pull here. And that's what happens. You have to work everywhere, diagonally.
And just think the whole picture.
Yeah, you have to look at each attachment and each muscle that attaches to that muscle, and you can cover a lot of ground that way. It can take some time.
So do you need to know a lot of muscle knowledge? I mean, do you need to know all your anatomy and physiology and anything else besides the technique and the exercises and that you need to learn?
Those are the basics for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I always teach people to breathe, just because a lot of them are so uptight all the time that they're shallow breathing, and they cause more trigger points because they do that.
Okay.
But basically, knowing your myotherapy and your stretching is good enough.
And that just takes you on a career that you can just be helping people help themselves.
Yeah, it's very rewarding because you're really helping someone have their life back.
Yeah. It's really serious stuff that you can take care of.
And it's so simple, and it is teachable.
There we are.
Yeah.
How can we get a hold of you?
I'm in Peoria, Arizona, and I have an office at 9710 West Hatcher Road in Peoria. My telephone number is 623-251-7547. I have a website. It's called eastwestpainsolutions.com.
Oh, nice name.
Yeah, and my email is btzee6@gmail.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. Love life, and life will love you back.
Oh, thank
and we'll
you.
see you again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.